Hey everybody, Gary with Basecamp Trading. Take a look at some trades we were taking in crude oil today. Crude was pretty choppy in the morning session, a lot of big swings. You can see all these dojis, no real direction. And then during lunch, we formed this bar. This was a very bearish bar, opened way up here at the top, closed very near the bottom, left a little wick, but closed very near the bottom. And then the next bar set up this doji, which, as it turns out, was a continuation doji to the downside. And typically, during this time of day, between 11 o'clock and 12:30 Central Time, I'm usually not looking to trade. However, today, during that period of time, the ES started to dump, gold started jumping, and we triggered this continuation doji to the downside. So contrary to the way we normally trade, we actually went ahead and took this trade during the lunch hour today. Pushed down, and then you can see left this big bottoming tail, made a big pullback, set up a bear flag, triggered on the next bar, and we're able to catch another push down in crude. This is what that looked like on the Unirenko chart. In fact, the very first trade we took was coming out of the morning U.S. session. We had this trend reversal breakout to the downside in crude oil. And you can see we made a pivot. It's not a lower pivot low. Your previous pivot low was here. We had this higher pivot high, a pivot, a lower pivot high, and then we broke out of the cloud to the downside, making a lower pivot low. These are trades that we really like, especially ones coming out of the cloud. Ended up not being a real big push on this initial push, but good for two targets, or $200 per contract. And then we went into the lunch period. And normally we would be looking for the slow line zero touches right here, but we know during lunch that these tend not to follow through as well. And so we really weren't interested in taking these. In fact, normally we're not looking to trade during this period of time at all. But then, like I said, the ES started to dump, gold started jumping, and we triggered that continuation doji off of the 30-minute chart, and that was right here, this wick bar, this wick right off the 34. It triggered at the same time that continuation doji on the 30-minute chart to the downside was triggering, and we were breaking a well-defined area of support. You could see that this power line went back quite a ways, so this was a very well-defined area of support. As this bar was triggering to the downside, we were breaking out of a smaller piece of compression here, broke this well-defined support here, and we're able to take this down. This first initial push was good for 4 targets off. Went ahead and stopped out because, again, it's during the lunchtime. But then, again, the ES continued to dump. Gold was jumping. We got this double wick off the 34, and we're able to take that for another 2 targets off, or $200 per contract. Then we got that pullback that you saw on the 30-minute chart, and then it consolidated for a little while. And then right here, on this wick off the 50 and out of the cloud, is when that 30-minute bear flag was triggering. It triggered, and it was good for another 3 targets to the downside, or $300 per contract. So all in all, not too bad trading crude, even though it was at a time of day that we don't normally trade.